All right, so today we're diving into 20 great single-player games you can spend 100 plus hours in. We're talking epic open worlds, endless side quests, stories that hit harder than Monday mornings, and gameplay that keeps you saying, okay, just one more mission. So let's jump in, because these games don't just waste time, they own it. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is one of those rare games that doesn't just set the bar, it launches it into orbit. You play as Geralt of Rivia, the world's grumpiest monster hunter with the best hair in gaming, wandering through a morally gray world full of war, politics, and people who always seem to have a problem only you can solve. The main story alone is legendary, deep, emotional, full of twists, but then you've got expansions like Blood and Wine that are basically full games themselves. And the side quests, they're better than the main quests in some other RPGs. One minute you're slaying a terrifying beast, the next you're helping a ghost win back his lost love. It's the kind of game where 100 hours feels like a warm-up lap, and every time you think you've seen it all, the game throws something completely unexpected at you. Cyberpunk 2077 might have had one of the rockiest launches in gaming history, but let's be honest, Night City today is a completely different beast. This game gives you a massive, neon-drenched metropolis to explore where the main story hits you with some serious emotional punches, while the side gigs make you feel like a cyberpunk merc living paycheck to paycheck. If your paycheck was a new cyber arm that lets you punch through walls. Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand basically steals the show with his I hate everything but secretly care attitude, and the recent expansions like Phantom Liberty just pile on even more content. The beauty of Cyberpunk is how flexible it is. Want to go loud with guns blazing or sneak around like a cyber ninja? Totally your call. And between the combat, exploration, and dozens of endings for quests, it's easy to sink 100 plus hours into this techno dystopia without even realizing it.
Stop being a fucking puta.
Ghost of Tsushima isn't just a game, it's like stepping into a living samurai movie. The story follows Jin Sakai, a noble samurai forced to embrace the way of the ghost to defend Tsushima Island from Mongol invaders. But honestly, half the time you'll forget about the main quest because you'll be too busy riding through flower fields, climbing shrines, and chasing foxes that literally lead you to secrets. The combat is this beautiful dance of swordplay and precision. It makes you feel like an unstoppable warrior while still punishing sloppy moves. And the game's attention to detail is insane. The wind guides you instead of a map marker. The weather changes based on your actions. It's art and entertainment rolled into one. And once you finish the main story, there's Legends mode and so many side activities that before you know it, you've clocked in over 100 hours just vibing like a medieval Japanese superhero. Horizon Forbidden West is basically post-apocalypse, but make it gorgeous. You step back into the boots of Aloy, the world's most determined redhead, as she hunts robotic dinosaurs across a landscape so beautiful it'll make your graphics card sweat. The story digs deeper into the mysteries of the old world while introducing even crazier machines and new tribes to interact with or shoot in the face, your choice. The combat blends bows, traps, and tech weapons in a way that keeps every fight feeling tense and creative, and then you've got underwater exploration, giant boss fights, and a map so huge you'll need a travel planner. The game respects your time, but also tempts you to waste it on hunting, crafting, and side quests that actually feel meaningful. Easily 100 hours of content here, especially if you're the type who sees a question mark on the map and must check it out before moving on. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 takes realistic RPG and says, okay, but what if we turn the realism dial to 11? Forget magic and dragons, this is medieval Europe at its muddiest and most unforgiving. You play as Henry, a regular guy who slowly learns to survive in a world where swords are heavy, armor is expensive, and bandits will happily ruin your day if you're not careful. The combat system, brutal but rewarding. It's not about spamming attacks, it's about timing, stamina, and actually knowing how to swing a sword without looking like a fool. Quests often have multiple outcomes based on your skills, choices, or sometimes just whether you bothered to bathe before talking to someone. It's the kind of game where you can spend hours hunting, trading, and leveling up before even touching the main story. By the time you master everything, you'll have easily sunk 100 hours and still feel like there's more to do.
Chop you up on the spot.
Show what we do with criminals.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey is basically Ubisoft looking at Greece and saying, what if we gave players an entire ancient civilization to mess around in? You get to choose between Alexios or Cassandra, both absolute powerhouses, and then proceed to carve your name across the Aegean Sea like a Greek demigod with a to-do list. The map, massive. The quests, endless. Naval battles, bounty hunters chasing you, random mythological beasts showing up to ruin your day. There's always something happening. And the choices you make actually matter, shaping the story and relationships in surprising ways. It's not just about stabbing dudes in togas either. It's about exploration, loot hunting, and occasionally getting sidetracked by that one side quest that somehow takes 3 hours. If you want a game where you blink and suddenly it's 4 a.m., Odyssey will gladly consume 100 hours of your life and ask for seconds. Days Gone takes the classic zombie apocalypse formula and says, okay, but what if we made it personal? You play as Deacon St. John, a biker with a tragic backstory, a gruff voice, and a motorcycle that becomes your literal lifeline. The open world is crawling with freakers, fast, aggressive zombies that travel in terrifying hordes big enough to crash your PS4 fan, and surviving them takes brains, ammo, and a lot of Molotov cocktails. The story sneaks up on you too. Between all the chaos, there's real heart here as Deacon searches for answers about his wife while dealing with raiders, cultists, and Mother Nature herself. And the world doesn't feel empty. There are camps to build trust with, gear to upgrade, and side missions that make the apocalypse feel alive. Easily 100 hours if you clear the map, hunt hordes, and max out everything. Plus, riding through Oregon at sunset, chef's kiss.
Can we sit here and wait till a goddamn horde comes through and just kills us all?
Bad way to go out, trapped in a shithole like this.
Death Stranding 2, aka the game where delivering packages somehow feels like a life-changing experience. Hideo Kojima takes his signature brand of weirdness and cranks it up, giving us a post-apocalyptic America connected by one very determined mailman, Sam Porter Bridges. The original was about rebuilding connections, literally building roads, zip lines, and entire delivery networks while fighting off supernatural BTs and dealing with cryptic cutscenes that only Kojima understands. The sequel promises to be bigger, crazier, and probably even more emotional. Sure, people joke about it being a walking simulator, but there's a strange beauty in the solitude, the tension of avoiding enemies while balancing your cargo, and the satisfaction of building something that helps other players. Sink enough time into it and you realize 100 plus hours have passed and you somehow care deeply about delivering a pizza across radioactive terrain. Elden Ring is what happens when From Software takes Dark Souls and says, all right, let's give them a world so big they'll get lost for months. It's a punishing but incredibly rewarding open world RPG where every corner hides either a boss, a secret dungeon, or a new way to die horribly. The freedom here is unreal. You can go anywhere, tackle bosses in any order, and build your character however you like. Want to be a magic-wielding glass cannon? Go for it. A giant hammer-wielding tank? Also possible. And because it's From Software, the story is layered in mystery, the world design is jaw-dropping, and every victory feels earned. Even exploring the map is dangerous. You'll wander into a beautiful field, think it's safe, then get obliterated by a dragon the size of a house. 100 hours later, you'll still be finding dungeons, weapons, and lore that make you go, wait, how deep does this game go? Far Cry 6 is classic Far Cry chaos, but turned up to 11. This time you're fighting to liberate the fictional Caribbean island of Yara from a ruthless dictator played by Giancarlo Esposito. Yes, Gus from Breaking Bad himself. The game throws you into a tropical playground full of explosions, ridiculous weapons, there's literally a gun that shoots CDs playing Macarena, and wild side missions involving everything from crocodiles to killer roosters. The open world is massive and filled with checkpoints, outposts, and side activities that somehow always distract you from the main story. And then there's the guerrilla warfare vibe, building camps, recruiting allies, sabotaging enemy forces. It all adds layers to the chaos. By the time you've explored every corner, maxed out your gear, and caused enough mayhem to make Michael Bay jealous, you'll have easily clocked 100 hours without even realizing it.
On my way now!
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth takes everything we loved about the original and cranks it up with modern graphics, fully voiced characters, and an expanded story that actually dives deeper into Cloud and the gang's journey. The combat blends flashy, real-time action with strategic, menu-based tactics, so you get the best of both worlds. Spam some cool sword combos, then pause time mid-battle to unleash a giant summon that makes the whole screen explode in style. The world is huge now, with tons of side quests, mini-games, and hidden bosses waiting to ruin your day in the most satisfying way possible. And let's be real, Square Enix isn't just remaking the game, they're reimagining it, adding twists even longtime fans didn't see coming. If you're a completionist or just someone who likes to see every corner of a JRPG, you'll easily rack up 100 hours before you even notice. Just Cause 3 doesn't even pretend to be serious, and that's exactly why it's awesome. You play as Rico Rodriguez, a man who treats physics like polite suggestions rather than actual laws of nature. The game is all about creating chaos across the fictional Mediterranean island of Medici, using grappling hooks, wingsuits, and enough explosives to make an action movie director blush. The open world is stuffed with military bases to blow up, villages to liberate, and creative ways to make everything go boom. There's a story about toppling a dictator in there somewhere, but let's be honest, you're here to see how far you can launch a Jeep with C4 strapped to it. The game actively encourages you to be ridiculous, and the more you experiment with its tools, the more time you lose. 100 hours later, you'll still be finding new ways to chain chaos together just for fun.
Reinforcements have been sent to your position.
Diablo 4 is like comfort food for dungeon crawling fans, dark, gritty, and dangerously addictive. You pick your class, hack through hordes of demons, and hoard loot like you're prepping for an apocalypse. The story takes a darker, more cinematic tone this time, with Lilith, the daughter of hatred, making her grand entrance to ruin everyone's day. The open world approach means you're not just jumping from dungeon to dungeon. There are towns, events, and even world bosses to tackle with or without friends. The build customization is insane. You can tweak your character into a fireball-throwing glass cannon or a lightning-fast rogue with poison daggers. And then there's the end game. Nightmare dungeons, PvP zones, seasonal content. It never stops giving you reasons to keep playing. If you like games where just one more dungeon turns into a weekend-long grind, Diablo 4 will happily devour 100+ hours of your life. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 takes the foundation of the first game, and Miles Morales then says, "You know what? Let's make this bigger, smoother, and twice as fun." Now you're swinging through New York as both Peter Parker and Miles, swapping between them seamlessly as the story unfolds. The traversal is still the best in any superhero game. Zipping through skyscrapers at sunset never gets old, but now you've got new abilities, gadgets, and some seriously intense boss fights. The story hits that perfect Marvel balance of humor, drama, and cinematic moments that feel straight out of a blockbuster movie. And the side content? Tons of it. Collectibles, crimes to stop, secret missions, there's always something pulling you away from the main quest in the best way possible. By the time you've 100%ed the map, you'll wonder where your weekend went.
You're not gonna win this.
Watch Dogs 2 is what happens when Ubisoft loosens its tie a bit and actually has some fun. Instead of the moody hacker vibe from the first game, you get Marcus Holloway and a crew of meme-loving hacktivists turning San Francisco into their playground. The tone is lighter, the gadgets are cooler, and the game basically lets you mess with the city in hilarious ways. Traffic lights, security cameras, even entire cars are yours to control. Want to go stealthy with drones and smart traps? Do it. Want to turn the whole place into chaos by hacking police systems mid-chase? Also an option. The open world is bright, colorful, and full of side activities that keep things feeling alive. Between the goofy side missions, main story, and experimenting with hacks just for the fun of it, 100 hours will disappear before you even finish trolling enemy gang members with remote-controlled forklifts.
Where do you think you're going? Guard, we have a hacker.
Metal Gear Solid 5. The phantom pain is what happens when Hideo Kojima takes his genius for stealth gameplay, throws in an open world and says, do whatever you want, just make it stylish. You play as Big Boss, aka Venom Snake, building your private army while taking on missions that can be approached a dozen different ways. Sneak in under the cover of darkness, rain airstrikes from a helicopter, or just send your pet wolf to do some work for you. Seriously, the freedom is insane. The gameplay loop of infiltrating bases, extracting soldiers with Fulton balloons, and managing Mother Base is addictive enough to keep you playing long after the story missions wrap up. And even though the story is pure Kojima-level weirdness, giant mechs, psychic soldiers, parasites, it somehow all clicks. Clocking 100 hours here isn't just easy. It happens before you even realize you've spent entire evenings perfecting that one stealth run. Skyrim is basically the RPG that refuses to die, and honestly, why should it? This game is so massive it became a meme about being released on every platform known to mankind. You start as the Dragonborn, a prophesied hero, but after 100 hours you might realize you spent most of that time picking flowers, breaking into houses, or shouting goats off mountains instead of actually saving the world. The freedom here is unmatched. Join guilds, become a vampire, learn every shout, or mod the game until it looks like a next-gen masterpiece. And the quests? Some of the side quests hit harder than entire main stories in other games. Skyrim is the kind of game where you boot it up to do one quick thing, then look at the clock 6 hours later wondering where your evening went. It's not just a game, it's an alternate life you live in Tamriel.
Tell you what, you start running so I can stab you in the back.
Fallout 4 takes the beloved post-apocalyptic formula and adds layers of customization that can keep you busy forever. You wake up after the bombs drop, searching for your kidnapped son while navigating the nuclear wasteland of Boston, and before you know it, you've been sidetracked building entire settlements instead of following the main quest. The gunplay feels tighter than previous Fallout games, the crafting system lets you turn trash into treasure, and the world is stuffed with factions, side quests, and radioactive nightmares waiting to ambush you. There's this constant sense of, I'll just explore one more location, then boom, another few hours gone. And with DLC expansions and an endless library of player-made mods that turn the game into anything from a survival horror to a sci-fi fantasy, you can easily lose yourself for hundreds of hours, tinkering with gear, making moral choices, or just seeing how many bottle caps you can hoard before the next Deathclaw attacks. Breath of the Wild completely redefined what an open-world game could be. Instead of leading you by the hand, it drops you into Hyrule with a paraglider and says, figure it out. And somehow that freedom creates endless stories. See a mountain? You can climb it. Spot a camp of enemies, attack them however you want, set the grass on fire, roll boulders, or just run in with a sword like a maniac. The physics system is brilliant, the puzzles are everywhere, and even after 100 hours, you'll still be finding shrines, secrets, and Korok seeds hidden in the most ridiculous places. And then there's the cooking. You'll spend way too much time perfecting meals instead of fighting Ganon. Breath of the Wild doesn't just fill your time, it makes you want to explore every inch of its world at your own pace, no matter how long it takes. Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't just a game, it's an experience. You play as Arthur Morgan, an outlaw slowly watching the Wild West fade away, and the story is packed with heart, tragedy, and moments that stick with you long after the credits roll. But beyond the narrative, the open world is so detailed, it's ridiculous. Every town, animal, and NPC feels alive. You can hunt, fish, gamble, rob trains, or just ride your horse across stunning landscapes for hours, soaking in sunsets like some virtual cowboy philosopher. The pace is slower than most action games, but that's the point. It wants you to live in this world, not just rush through it. And with all the side quests, stranger missions, and random encounters, 100 hours feels like the bare minimum if you want to truly experience everything Rockstar packed into this masterpiece. And there you have it, 20 single-player games guaranteed to eat up 100+ hours of your life, and honestly, you won't regret a single minute. So, which one are you diving into first? Drop your pick in the comments. I want to know who's about to lose the most sleep this weekend. If you enjoyed this list, smash that like button, subscribe for more gaming goodness, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next deep dive into the best games out there. Until then, keep exploring, keep leveling up, and I'll catch you in the next one.